The galaxy was vast and mysterious, filled with countless stars and planets. Each corner of space held its own secrets, mysteries, and civilizations. Among these many species were the Xylorians, an advanced alien race known for their incredible technology and endless curiosity about the universe. For centuries, they had watched Earth from afar, fascinated by humanity's chaotic yet creative nature. But nothing could have prepared them, or anyone else in the galaxy, for what happened. On that fateful night, it began without warning. The sky above Earth seemed to split open like fabric being torn apart. Streaks of light illuminated the darkness as massive structures emerged from beyond the atmosphere. These weren't ordinary ships. They were colossal star destroyers, each one larger than any city the Xylorians had ever seen. They floated silently in orbit, casting long shadows over Earth's surface. To the Xylorians, and every other intelligent species watching, it looked as though the humans had unveiled something unimaginable, something terrifying. Panic spread quickly through the Xylorian council chambers. Their leaders gathered urgently, trying to make sense of what they were seeing. "These ships, they're not ours," whispered one elder, his voice trembling. "And they don't belong to any known civilization." Another member of the council stood up, pointing at the holographic images displayed before them. "Then, who built them? Who controls them?" he demanded. Everyone knew the answer, even if no one wanted to say it aloud. These ships belonged to humans. What shocked the Xylorians most wasn't just the size or design of the star destroyers. It was how humanity had managed to build such things in secret. For years, Earth had been considered a primitive planet, barely capable of exploring its own solar system. Its people fought among themselves, polluted their environment, and struggled with diseases that more advanced races had eradicated centuries ago. Yet here they were, suddenly wielding power that rivaled even the mightiest empires in the galaxy. How had this happened? The truth was far stranger than anyone could have guessed. Decades earlier, deep beneath Antarctica's frozen ice, scientists had discovered the wreckage of an ancient alien spacecraft. At first, it seemed like little more than a curiosity, a relic left behind by some long-extinct race. But as researchers studied the craft, they uncovered technologies far beyond anything humanity had ever dreamed of. Energy sources that defied physics, engines capable of bending time and space, and weapons powerful enough to obliterate entire moons. Slowly but surely, humanity pieced together the knowledge hidden within the wreckage, adapting it to suit their needs. It wasn't just the technology that set humans apart. It was their determination. While other species relied on strict hierarchies and rigid systems, humans thrived on chaos and creativity. They experimented relentlessly, pushing boundaries and taking risks that would have terrified more cautious races. Mistakes were made, disasters occurred, but humanity always bounced back stronger than before. This relentless drive allowed them to leapfrog centuries of development in mere decades. As news of the star destroyers spread across the galaxy, reactions varied wildly. Some species saw humanity as a threat, fearing invasion or domination. Others viewed them as saviors, hoping the humans might share their newfound power to help less advanced worlds. Whispers turned into rumors, and rumors became legends. Stories circulated about Earth's military might, describing fleets of ships armed with planet-destroying weapons. Fear gripped many corners of the galaxy, especially among those who remembered the horrors of past wars. But there was another side to humanity's rise, one that few expected. Despite their fearsome reputation, humans didn't immediately launch attacks or claim territory. Instead, they reached out to neighboring species, offering assistance and forming alliances. Diplomatic envoys traveled aboard the star destroyers, carrying messages of peace rather than demands for submission. Many aliens found this behavior baffling. Why would a species with such overwhelming power choose cooperation over conquest? To understand humanity's actions, one needed to look closer at Earth itself. Throughout history, humans had faced countless challenges, wars, famines, plagues, and somehow survived them all. What united them wasn't brute force, but resilience. Even when everything seemed lost, humans refused to give up. This spirit carried over into their interactions with the galaxy. They saw themselves not as rulers or conquerors but as survivors, determined to carve out a place for themselves among the stars. Still, questions lingered. Was humanity truly peaceful? Or were they biding their time, waiting for the right moment to strike? Could a species so unpredictable be trusted? As the star destroyers continued to patrol the skies above Earth, the rest of the galaxy watched, anxiously unsure whether to cheer or cower. One thing was certain. Humanity's arrival had changed everything, and there was no turning back. For now, the star destroyers remained silent sentinels, guarding Earth while also serving as symbols of hope and fear. They represented humanity's potential, not just to destroy but to create, to adapt, and to endure. Whatever the future held, one thing was clear. The galaxy would never be the same again. And as the Xylorians stared up at the glowing shapes, in the sky they couldn't help but wonder, what would humanity do next? The appearance of Earth's star destroyers had sent shockwaves throughout the galaxy. Fear and curiosity mingled in equal measure among the countless species who now watched humanity with wary eyes. While some prepared for war, others wondered if these newcomers might offer something different, something unexpected. It was this mix of emotions that led to the first official contact between humans and an alien race. And surprisingly, it wasn't soldiers or diplomats who took center stage. It was doctors. The Zorathians were a peaceful insectoid species known for their intricate hive-like societies and advanced agricultural systems. For generations, they had thrived on their lush homeworld, cultivating crops under twin suns and living harmoniously with nature. But recently, disaster struck. A mysterious genetic disease began spreading through their population, causing mutations and death at an alarming rate. Despite their best efforts, the Zorathians couldn't find a cure. Desperate, they turned to interstellar networks, searching for help wherever they could find it. That's when they heard about humanity. Rumors had spread far and wide about Earth's medical advancements. Stories told of human doctors curing plagues, reversing aging, and even reviving extinct species. To the Zorathians, these tales sounded too good to be true, but what choice did they have? Their leaders decided to send a delegation to one of Earth's star destroyers, hoping against hope that the humans might assist them. When the Zorathian ship docked aboard the massive vessel, they expected to meet warriors clad in armor or stern-faced, officials demanding explanations. Instead, they were greeted by a group of humans wearing simple white coats. At the forefront stood Dr. Elena Vasquez, a brilliant physician from Earth whose calm demeanor immediately put the nervous aliens at ease. She introduced herself and her team, explaining that they specialized in treating diseases across species. "We're here to help," she said simply, her voice warm but firm. Over the next few days, the Zorathians explained their plight in detail. Samples of infected tissue were analyzed, genetic codes were mapped, and simulations ran non-stop in the ship's state-of-the-art laboratories. What made the situation particularly challenging was that the disease seemed to target not just individuals, but entire colonies, disrupting communication between members of the hive mind. Without intervention, the Zorathians feared their society would collapse entirely. Dr. Vasquez and her team worked tirelessly, combining Earth's cutting-edge nanotechnology with insights gained from studying similar illnesses back home. They developed a treatment using microscopic machines designed to repair damaged DNA, while simultaneously boosting the immune systems of affected individuals. After weeks of testing, the solution was ready. With bated breath, the Zorathians administered the treatment to a small group of patients and watched in awe as the disease began to recede. News of the success spread quickly. Within days, every member of the Zorathian delegation was cured, and instructions were sent back to their homeworld to begin mass production of the treatment. Gratitude poured in from the Zorathian leaders, who hailed humanity as saviors. But, more importantly, word of this achievement reached other corners of the galaxy. If humans could cure such a devastating illness, what else might they accomplish? As stories of the Zorathians' recovery circulated, requests for aid began pouring in from all directions. Species suffering from famine, environmental collapse, and deadly epidemics sought out Earth's star destroyers, hoping for miracles. Humanity responded with open arms, deploying medical teams to crisis zones and sharing knowledge freely. These acts of compassion earned them respect but also skepticism. Some questioned whether humanity's generosity came with strings attached. Were they truly selfless, or was this part of a larger plan to gain influence over weaker species? Despite the doubts, humanity continued its mission. One notable case involved the Vrenthi, a reptilian race struggling with a catastrophic ecological disaster. Their planet's oceans had been poisoned by industrial waste, killing off most marine life, and leaving millions without food or clean water. When a human medical team arrived, they brought not only supplies but also engineers specializing in environmental restoration. Together, they devised a method to filter toxins from the water and reintroduce native species into the ecosystem. Though progress was slow, the Vrenthi saw tangible results within months, a testament to humanity's ingenuity and perseverance. Another remarkable story unfolded on the desert world of Krylos, home to the nomadic sandwalkers. Plagued by a respiratory illness caused by constant exposure to dust storms, the sandwalkers faced extinction. Human doctors collaborated with local healers to create respirators powered by renewable energy sources, allowing the sandwalkers to breathe safely, even during the harshest weather. This partnership marked a turning point. Rather than imposing solutions, humanity worked alongside the affected species, respecting their traditions while offering modern innovations. These missions showcased humanity's greatest strength: adaptability. Unlike many alien cultures where medicine focused solely on biology, humans embraced a holistic approach. They understood that health extended beyond physical ailments. It encompassed mental well-being, social structures, and environmental factors. By addressing root causes instead of symptoms, they achieved lasting change. However, not every mission ended in triumph. On the icy moon of Kryon IV, inhabited by the amphibious Corviks, humanity faced one of its toughest challenges yet. Kryon IV's climate had spiraled out of control due to unchecked industrial expansion, leading to rising temperatures and melting ice caps. Entire cities were submerged, forcing the Corviks to flee their ancestral homes. When human engineers attempted to stabilize the environment using terraforming technology, they encountered unforeseen complications. The planet's fragile ecosystem resisted their efforts and progress stalled. Frustrated but undeterred, Dr. Marcus Chen, head of the Kryon IV project, proposed a radical idea. He invited Corviks leaders aboard the Star Destroyer to witness Earth's own struggles with environmental disasters. Through immersive holographic displays, the Corviks learned about humanity's battles against pollution, deforestation, and global warming. They saw how Earth had risen from the brink of ruin through collective action and innovative thinking. Inspired by these shared experiences, the two species worked together to develop sustainable solutions tailored to Kryon IV's unique conditions. Though the outcome remained uncertain, the collaboration fostered trust and mutual understanding. Each mission reinforced humanity's reputation as healers, not conquerors. Yet questions lingered in the minds of many across the galaxy. Could anyone fully trust a species capable of building weapons of mass destruction? Was humanity's kindness genuine, or merely a tactic to win allies before asserting dominance? Only time would tell. For now, though, humanity stood as a beacon of hope, proving that compassion could coexist with power. As the Star Destroyers continued their journeys, carrying doctors, scientists, and engineers to distant worlds, humanity's legacy grew. They weren't just explorers or warriors, they were problem-solvers, dreamers, and healers. And in a galaxy often divided by fear and mistrust, that made all the difference. As humanity's reputation as healers spread across the galaxy, their Star Destroyers became symbols of hope rather than fear. Every species, whether struggling with disease, famine, or environmental collapse, looked to Earth for answers. Yet, not every mission was straightforward. Some challenges tested humanity's limits in ways no one could have anticipated, forcing them to confront mysteries that defied logic and science. These encounters revealed both the strengths and vulnerabilities of Earth's doctors, proving that even the most advanced technology couldn't solve everything alone. One such challenge came from the Corviks, an amphibious race whose homeworld, HFY 4, teetered on the brink of ecological ruin. The planet's once pristine oceans were now choked with toxic algae blooms, while its icy poles melted at an alarming rate. Entire ecosystems had collapsed, leaving the Corviks desperate for help. When a human medical team arrived aboard the star destroyer Aurora, they expected to tackle familiar issues like pollution cleanup or habitat restoration. But what they discovered was far more complex and unsettling. The first sign of trouble came during initial scans of HFY 4's atmosphere. Instruments aboard the Aurora detected strange energy fluctuations emanating from deep beneath the planet's surface. At first, the humans dismissed these readings as anomalies caused by geological activity. However, when Dr. Marcus Chen led a ground expedition to gather samples, he noticed something peculiar. Patches of ice near the equator remained frozen despite rising global temperatures. Stranger still, these areas emitted faint pulses of light, almost as if alive. Curiosity turned into alarm when local Corviks elders approached the team with warnings. According to ancient legends, HFY 4 harbored the Heart of Frost, a mysterious entity said to control the planet's climate. For centuries, the Corviks believed it protected their world, maintaining balance between fire and ice. But recent generations had forgotten the old stories, dismissing them as myths. Now, many feared the heart had grown unstable, or worse, angry. Dr. Chen listened carefully, sensing there might be truth behind the tales. He ordered his team to focus their efforts on investigating the glowing ice formations. What they uncovered stunned them. Embedded within the ice were crystalline structures unlike anything ever recorded in human databases. Each crystal pulsed rhythmically, emitting waves of energy that interacted with the surrounding environment. Further analysis revealed that these crystals weren't natural formations, they were artificial, remnants of some long-lost civilization. The discovery raised more questions than answers. Who had created the crystals? Why were they buried beneath HFY 4's surface? And how did they influence the planet's climate? As the team dug deeper, they realized the crystals formed part of a vast network spanning the entire globe. This network appeared to regulate temperature, weather patterns, and even ocean currents. But over time, the system had degraded, leading to the chaos now threatening the Corviks. Faced with this revelation, Dr. Chen faced a difficult decision. Repairing the network would require advanced engineering skills beyond anything humanity possessed. Even if they succeeded, there was no guarantee the crystals wouldn't malfunction again or turn hostile. Yet abandoning the Corviks wasn't an option. Their survival depended on restoring balance to their dying world. In a bold move, Dr. Chen invited Corviks leaders aboard the Aurora to discuss potential solutions. Using holographic projections, he explained the situation in simple terms, showing them images of the crystals and their role in HFY 4's ecosystem. "We can't fix this alone," he admitted, "but together, we might find a way." Inspired by humanity's honesty, the Corviks agreed to collaborate. Elders shared fragments of their oral history, describing rituals performed to honor the Heart of Frost. These ceremonies involved singing specific harmonies believed to resonate with the crystals, calming their energies. Though skeptical at first, Dr. Chen decided to test the theory. Combining traditional Corviks melodies with Earth's sonic technology, his team developed a device capable of emitting frequencies similar to those described in the legends. The experiment was risky. If successful, it could stabilize the crystals and restore HFY 4's climate. If it failed, the energy feedback might trigger catastrophic consequences. After days of preparation, the team activated the device, broadcasting the harmonic frequencies across the planet. For hours, nothing happened. Then, slowly but surely, the ice began to reform. Temperatures dropped, algae blooms dissipated, and ocean currents resumed their natural flow. The Heart of Frost had awakened and responded. Though Relieved by the outcome, Dr. Chen couldn't shake off a lingering sense of unease. Humanity had solved the immediate crisis, but the true nature of the crystals remained unknown. Were they tools left behind by benevolent creators, or relics of a power humanity couldn't fully comprehend? Either way, the experience taught him an important lesson. Sometimes solving problems meant embracing uncertainty and trusting others to share the burden. Meanwhile, another mission unfolded on the volcanic moon of Pyrosis, home to the fiery-skinned Pyranites. Unlike the Corvics, the Pyranites weren't facing environmental collapse. They were battling a deadly plague spreading through their population. Known as ember rot, the disease caused victims' bodies to overheat uncontrollably, eventually consuming them in flames. Local healers had tried everything from cooling baths to herbal remedies, but nothing worked. Desperate, the Pyranites reached out to humanity for assistance. When Dr. Elena Vasquez arrived with her medical team, she immediately recognized the complexity of the task ahead. Ember rot wasn't just a biological illness. It was tied to the Pyranites' unique physiology. Their bodies thrived on extreme heat, drawing energy directly from their surroundings. Disrupting this delicate balance could prove fatal. To make matters worse, infected individuals exhibited heightened aggression, making treatment dangerous. After weeks of research, Dr. Vasquez identified the root cause, a parasitic organism feeding on the Pyranites' internal heat reserves. Left unchecked, it drained its host dry before moving on to new victims. The parasite itself was resistant to conventional treatments, requiring a novel approach. Drawing inspiration from Earth's thermoregulation studies, Dr. Vasquez proposed using nanobots designed to mimic the Pyranites' natural heat absorption process. These microscopic machines would target the parasites, starving them of energy without harming the hosts. Implementation proved challenging. The Pyranites distrusted outsiders, fearing their methods might weaken their connection to fire, a cornerstone of their culture. Convincing them to accept the treatment required patience and diplomacy. Dr. Vasquez spent countless hours explaining the science behind her plan, emphasizing that the nanobots wouldn't suppress their fiery essence but protect it. Slowly, trust began to build. The turning point came when a young Pyranite warrior volunteered to undergo the experimental procedure. Under close supervision, the nanobots were introduced into his bloodstream. Hours passed as everyone waited anxiously. Finally, the fever subsided and the warrior stood up unharmed. Cheers erupted among the gathered crowd. One by one, other Pyranites stepped forward to receive treatment. By the time the mission concluded, ember rot had been eradicated from Pyrosis. The Pyranites hailed humanity as heroes, though Dr. Vasquez humbly credited their success to collaboration. "We didn't save you," she told their leader during a farewell ceremony. "We worked together to save yourselves." These missions highlighted humanity's adaptability and creativity, traits that set them apart from other species. Whether confronting ancient enigmas or modern plagues, Earth's doctors approached each problem with determination and empathy. They understood that medicine wasn't just about curing diseases. It was about understanding people, respecting cultures, and finding solutions that empowered rather than controlled. Yet challenges remained. Not every species welcomed humanity's aid, and not every mystery yielded to reason or technology. Skeptics continued to question whether Earth's intentions were truly altruistic. Could a species so unpredictable be trusted indefinitely? Only time would tell. For now, though, humanity's actions spoke louder than words. Across the galaxy, worlds once shrouded in despair now looked to the skies with hope, knowing that Earth's star destroyers carried more than weapons. They carried healers, dreamers, and guardians of life. Despite humanity's growing reputation as healers and problem solvers, not everyone in the galaxy welcomed their rise. While many species admired Earth's compassion and ingenuity, others viewed them with suspicion, fear, or outright hostility. The star destroyers that once inspired awe now cast long shadows over neighboring systems, sparking debates about humanity's true intentions. Were they saviors or conquerors in disguise? As tensions simmered beneath the surface, humanity, found itself navigating a delicate balance between trust and mistrust. One of the loudest voices of criticism came from the Kryn, a warrior race notorious for their distrust of outsiders. The Kryn prided themselves on their military prowess and rigid code of honor. To them, weakness was unacceptable, and reliance on others was seen as a sign of inferiority. When news of humanity's medical mission spread, the Kryn dismissed it as manipulation, a ploy to gain influence over weaker species. "Compassion is a weapon," declared General Vorthak, leader of the Kryn fleet. "These humans are no different from any other empire. They offer aid today, but tomorrow they will demand obedience." The Kryn weren't alone in their skepticism. Across the galaxy, factions whispered of hidden agendas. Some accused humanity of exploiting vulnerable civilizations, creating dependency rather than empowerment. Others claimed Earth's sudden leap in technology hinted at stolen knowledge or forbidden experiments. Rumors swirled about secret labs aboard the Star Destroyers where captured aliens were dissected and studied like lab rats. Though none of these accusations could be proven, they fueled paranoia among those who already distrusted humanity. Tensions reached a boiling point when a rogue faction of the Kryn launched an unprovoked attack on a human medical outpost stationed near the edge of explored space. The facility, known as Outpost Delta 7, served as a hub for treating refugees fleeing war-torn regions. It housed doctors, engineers, and volunteers from multiple species, all working together to provide care, regardless of background or allegiance. For months, Delta 7 had been a beacon of hope in an otherwise chaotic corner of the galaxy. But hope wasn't enough to shield it from violence. One fateful morning, alarms blared as Kryn warships descended upon the outpost. Plasma cannons tore through its defensive shields, reducing the structure to rubble within minutes. Miraculously, no lives were lost. Emergency evacuation protocols ensured everyone escaped safely. Still, the destruction sent shockwaves throughout the galaxy. Calls for retaliation echoed loudly among human commanders, demanding justice for the attack. Yet cooler heads prevailed. Instead of launching a counteroffensive, humanity chose diplomacy. A delegation led by Ambassador Sarah Lynn boarded the Star Destroyer Eclipse and traveled directly to Kryn territory, seeking answers. Their arrival sparked outrage among the Kryn leadership, who viewed the visit as an insult to their sovereignty. General Vorthak refused to meet with the humans, dismissing them as cowards unwilling to fight for their honor. Undeterred, Ambassador Lin addressed the Kryn Council via holographic transmission. Her voice was calm but firm as she spoke. "We come not as enemies but as neighbors seeking understanding," she began. "Your people attacked our outpost without provocation, destroying something meant to help all species, not just humans. Why? What drove you to such actions?" For a moment, silence filled the chamber. Then a younger council member stepped forward. His name was Commander Rhynak, and unlike his peers, he harbored doubts about the Kryn's traditional stance toward outsiders. "Our leaders fear your kind," he admitted. "They see your power and believe conquest is inevitable. But I wonder, if your intentions are truly peaceful, why do you wield such strength? Why build weapons capable of annihilating entire planets?" Ambassador Lin paused, considering her response carefully. She knew this moment mattered, not just for humanity but for the future of interstellar relations. "Strength exists for many reasons," she replied. "It can be used to dominate, yes, but it can also protect. Humanity has faced extinction countless times in our history. We learned early on that survival requires preparation. Our ships, our weapons, they are tools to safeguard what we hold dear: life, freedom, and the right to choose our own path." Her words resonated with some members of the council, including Commander Rhynak. But old prejudices ran deep, and most remained unconvinced. Despite failing to secure an apology, Ambassador Lin left the meeting determined to keep lines of communication open. She understood that change wouldn't happen overnight, but patience, she believed, was key. Back aboard the Star Destroyers, debates raged among humanity's leaders about how to handle growing resistance. Some argued for a show of force, believing that demonstrating Earth's military might would deter further aggression. Others advocated for continued outreach, insisting that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't its arsenal, but its ideals. Captain Elias Drake, commander of the Aurora, voiced a middle ground during a heated strategy session. "We cannot ignore threats to our people," he said, addressing his fellow officers, "but neither should we abandon the values that define us. If we respond to violence with more violence, we become indistinguishable from those who oppose us. Let us instead prove our worth, not through fear, but through action." His suggestion gained traction, leading to the creation of the Galactic Peace Initiative, GPI. Under this program, Star Destroyers doubled down on humanitarian efforts, establishing mobile clinics, educational centers, and environmental restoration projects across contested regions. These initiatives aimed to win hearts and minds, showing skeptical species that humanity's presence brought tangible benefits. One notable success story emerged from the desert planet of Caltheris, home to the nomadic sandwalkers. Years earlier, human doctors had introduced respirators to combat a respiratory illness plaguing the population. Now teams returned to implement sustainable farming techniques, teaching the sandwalkers how to cultivate crops resistant to harsh conditions. The project transformed barren wastelands into fertile fields, ensuring food security for generations to come. Gratitude replaced suspicion, and the sandwalkers became vocal supporters of humanity's mission. However, not every effort yielded positive results. On the jungle moon of Verdaxis, attempts to mediate a conflict between two warring tribes ended in disaster. Despite offering neutral ground for negotiations, human mediators were accused of favoritism by both sides. Tensions escalated, culminating in a brutal skirmish that left dozens dead. Critics pointed to the incident as proof that humanity's interference only made matters worse. Even amid setbacks, humanity refused to give up. Each failure provided valuable lessons, reinforcing the importance of humility and cultural sensitivity. Dr. Marcus Chen, reflecting on the Verdaxis tragedy, summarized the sentiment shared by many aboard the Star Destroyers. "We're not perfect," he admitted during a team debriefing. "But perfection isn't the goal. Progress is. Every step forward, even if it stumbles, is still movement toward something better." As time passed, humanity's dual role as healers and guardians solidified. Medical outposts dotted star maps, offering free care to anyone in need. Schools established aboard the Star Destroyers trained aspiring doctors, scientists, and engineers. From diverse backgrounds, blending Earth's innovations with alien traditions, slowly but surely, barriers began to fall, replaced by bridges of cooperation. Still, shadows lingered. Skeptics continued to question whether humanity's kindness masked ulterior motives. Could a species so unpredictable remain benevolent forever, or would ambition eventually outweigh altruism? Only time would tell. For now, though, humanity stood firm in its belief that progress required unity, not division. And so, the legend of Earth's Star Destroyers endured, not because of their weapons, but because of the hearts and minds behind them. Across the stars, whenever despair loomed largest, people looked to the skies and whispered, "Maybe the humans will come." Years passed, and humanity's role in the galaxy evolved from that of newcomers to steadfast guardians. The Star Destroyers that once inspired fear now symbolized hope, a testament to Earth's resilience, creativity, and unwavering determination to make a difference. Across the stars, worlds ravaged by war, disease, and environmental collapse found solace in humanity's presence. Medical outposts became sanctuaries. Schools aboard the ships turned into hubs of learning, and collaborative projects restored life to dying planets. Yet humanity's journey wasn't without challenges. Every triumph came with sacrifices, and every act of kindness faced scrutiny. But through it all, one truth remained clear. Humanity had become the final line of hope across the galaxy. One defining moment occurred when a dying star threatened to engulf several inhabited systems. Known as Solarnix 9, the unstable giant loomed at the edge of explored space, its core collapsing under its own weight. Scientists estimated that within months the star would explode. releasing waves of radiation capable of wiping out billions of lives. Entire civilizations scrambled to evacuate their homeworlds, but time was running out, and resources were stretched thin. Desperation gripped the galaxy as leaders turned to humanity for help. The task seemed impossible. Stabilizing a star on the verge of supernova required technology far beyond anything available. Even Earth's cutting-edge advancements couldn't guarantee success. Many dismissed the idea as folly, arguing that attempting such a feat would only waste precious time and effort. But humanity refused to give up. Captain Elias Drake, commander of the Aurora, assembled a team of engineers, physicists, and astrobiologists to tackle the problem head-on. "We didn't come this far just to stand by while others suffer," he declared during a briefing. "If there's even a sliver of a chance, we owe it to them, and to ourselves, to try." The plan was audacious. Deploy experimental fusion containment fields around Solarnix 9 to slow its collapse and redirect excess energy away from nearby planets. It was a risky endeavor, requiring precise calculations and flawless execution. Even the slightest miscalculation could trigger an immediate explosion, dooming everyone involved. Despite the dangers, volunteers stepped forward, not just humans, but members of other species who believed in the mission's importance. For weeks, the crew worked tirelessly, constructing massive field generators aboard the Star Destroyers and positioning them strategically around the star. Tensions ran high as countdown timers ticked closer to zero. Finally, the moment arrived. With bated breath, the team activated the containment fields, flooding Solarnix 9 with stabilizing energy. For what felt like eternity, nothing happened. Then slowly but surely, the star's violent eruptions began to subside. Its surface cooled, and the deadly radiation receded, sparing countless lives. Cheers erupted across the galaxy as news of the success spread. Leaders who had doubted humanity's intentions now praised their courage and ingenuity. Worlds once teetering on the brink of annihilation celebrated their second chance, crediting humanity not just for saving them, but for reminding them of what was possible when species united for a common cause. Yet humanity's legacy extended beyond grand gestures and heroic feats. On a quieter level, they transformed lives through small, everyday acts of compassion. Take, for instance, the story of Lyra, a young Corvix girl living on Cryon IV. Years after Dr. Marcus Chen's team stabilized the planet's climate, Lyra grew up hearing tales of how humans had worked alongside her people to restore balance to their world. Inspired by their example, she pursued studies in environmental science, eventually earning a scholarship to attend a university aboard the Star Destroyer, Eclipse. There, she collaborated with students from dozens of species, sharing knowledge and forging friendships that transcended cultural boundaries. Or consider Aaron, a Pyranite warrior saved from ember rot by Dr. Elena Vasquez's nanobot treatment. Once distrustful of outsiders, Aaron now served as an ambassador between his people and humanity, advocating for cooperation over conflict. He often recounted how the experience changed him, not just physically, but emotionally. "Before, I thought strength meant never needing help," he said during a speech at a diplomatic summit. "Now I know true strength lies in asking for support and giving it freely." These stories, though less dramatic than stabilizing stars or curing plagues, underscored humanity's most profound impact, inspiring others to believe in themselves. By empowering alien species to solve their own problems, humanity ensured that their influence endured long after their ships departed. They weren't conquerors or overlords. They were teachers, collaborators, and partners. Of course not. Everyone embraced humanity's vision. Skeptics continued to question their motives, pointing to past failures and lingering inequalities as evidence of hypocrisy. Some argued that humanity's generosity created dependency, leaving weaker species reliant on Earth's aid rather than building self-sufficiency. Others feared that humanity's rapid rise signaled ambition unchecked, a prelude to eventual domination. These concerns weren't entirely unfounded. History showed that power, no matter how well-intentioned, often corrupted those who wielded it. To address these fears, humanity took deliberate steps to share responsibility. They established interstellar councils where representatives from various species could voice concerns and shape policies affecting their futures. Star destroyers transitioned from symbols of authority to platforms for collaboration, hosting, joint research initiatives, and cultural exchanges. Humanity understood that lasting peace required more than good intentions. It demanded accountability and mutual respect. Even so, tensions occasionally flared. When disputes arose over resource allocation or territorial claims, humanity faced criticism regardless of which side they supported. Critics accused them of favoritism or indecision, while allies sometimes felt abandoned. Navigating these complexities tested humanity's resolve, forcing them to confront uncomfortable truths about their place in the galaxy. Were they truly impartial mediators, or merely another player in a vast cosmic game? Despite the challenges, humanity persevered. Their adaptability, a trait that had carried them from primitive Earthlings to galactic leaders, remained their greatest asset. Whether facing natural disasters, political crises, or existential threats, they approached each situation with creativity, empathy, and determination. They understood that perfection wasn't attainable, but progress was worth striving for. As decades turned into centuries, humanity's legend grew. Tales of their achievements spread across generations, woven into myths and songs sung by countless species. To some, they were saviors who defied the odds to protect the innocent. To others, they were dreamers who dared to imagine a better future and worked tirelessly to make it real. Whatever the perspective, one thing was undeniable. Humanity had redefined what it meant to be powerful. In the end, their greatest weapon wasn't their technology or military might. It was their belief in the potential of life itself. They saw value not just in survival but in thriving, not just in coexistence but in connection. And though they made mistakes along the way, they never stopped trying to do better, for themselves, for others, and for the galaxy they now called home. So when darkness loomed largest, when despair threatened to consume entire civilizations, people looked to the skies and whispered, "Maybe the humans will come." Because wherever humanity went, they carried something far more precious than weapons or wealth: hope. And in a universe filled with uncertainty, hope was the light that guided them all forward.